Well, hello there. Trying to be excited as I can be. I'm exhausted. It's been a long day. We spent a lot of time out in the garage. I'm gonna wait for this counter to pop up some. I got a couple things I'm gonna cover tonight. Biggest one, we're gonna read Zechariah. Brunette, let me know if the audio is working. Biggest one is we're gonna read Zechariah, whole book, or at least half. But more than likely the whole book. Okay, cool. So, all right. So we're gonna do Zechariah tonight. More than likely the whole book. I'm exhausted, so I'm gonna try to get through the whole thing. And I've got a lot more going on this week. But I've got a couple things I want to cover first, and I want to kind of give it a minute and see the stragglers pop up because I've got some. It's kind of important to me and to my wife and my family, sort of. I mean, it's important to us in general. I spend 80% of my days every day trying to help other people with shit, whatever it is. Doesn't matter what it is. We try and help people. If it's not giving away something I do with woodwork or, something Bible study or sending someone money or, whatever it is, always trying to do stuff for others, not because we have to, but because we care. I genuinely care about people. And it's something that I don't play around with. Like, I really just don't. My whole life, I can honestly say, for the most part, my mom might have been, until later in life, till like the last few years, but my mom might have been the only one that ever really went out of her way to do anything, and it was never much. Every time in jail, I sat. Nobody put money on my books. Nobody would even pick up the phone for me. If I was homeless, I was homeless. Very few people in my life have ever cared enough to give me a hand up if I needed one. Very, very, very few. And the ones that have, I don't take that lightly, and I don't forget it, because it is so rare for me. So I grew up in a way that helping others has been something that has been ingrained in me from all the times I needed help and never had it. And it doesn't matter to me if someone pays me back. It doesn't matter to me if somebody keeps up their end. None of that ever matters. What matters to me is being there for people you care about, being there for people you don't care about or know. Just being there in general, being that someone for someone else when they need it. It's priceless. It's priceless, and I think it's an important factor in life. Doing things for others, whatever it is, sending out Bibles or buying someone lunch when they need it, putting $20 in a homeless dude's hands while he's asleep. It doesn't matter what it is. Helping people is something that I take very seriously. And when somebody tells me they're going to help someone, and it happens to be somebody that I care about or that I deal with regularly, and then that someone doesn't do it, it's pretty upsetting. And this whole thing, and I'm gonna get into this. I'm gonna explain it a little bit more. It's not for me. This has nothing to. I get nothing out of this. But at the end of the day, a couple months ago, okay, Nick. Everybody knows Nick, Signs and Wonders channel. Real scumbag. A couple months ago, he told me there's a lady that's subscribed to my channel. She's subscribed to his channel. She's, a lot of you probably would recognize her from the comments if she commented right now. If you'd recognize her from my channel, you'd probably recognize her from a bunch of other channels. especially like Shit Weasel and a couple of other boneheads that come here, they would know who this is. And I think I gave this lady the Bible study like 2.5, 3 years ago, almost about 3 years ago. Sent her Bibles, send her money when I can. She's elderly, she's very elderly. She should not be working. That's where she's at. She should not be working, but unfortunately, she's in a position where she has to. And I'll get into that a little bit more in a bit. But to explain how this all came up, I've been pseudo taking care of this woman for a 3 years. Me, my wife knows about her. My kids all know her, right? We do what we can when we can. The most important thing for me with her, though, is I've always been kind of a shoulder, somebody she can rely on, and she knows that. She knows that if she really needed something, she could call. And I'd give her the shirt off my back if I had to. Whatever I can, I would. She knows that. And I have for 3 years. And a couple months ago, Nick told me he was going to set up a GoFundMe for her. Nick apparently just found out that the last 3 years, this woman has slept in a shed. No lights. I mean, she could turn on. She got an extension cord that runs out there, but it's one of her daughter's friends. I think it's someone else's property. I try not to get real personal with her about her things because they're things that you wouldn't want to tell other people. You know, they're things that you just, if they don't need to know, you don't need to know. And I'm that kind of person where I don't want someone to feel embarrassed or anything like that. So I really don't ask her all that much about it. I know I've had some very in-depth talks with her about how it affects her and her situation currently and what she's going through and the decisions she's going to make or has made. But she's been living in a shed for the last 3 years. I remember when she lost her house because her husband died. And she was married to one guy. She did it right. You know, she did everything right. Daughter, grandkids, great grandkids now. She did everything right. And her husband died and left nothing. There was nothing left at the end of the day. And she ended up losing her house. And she ended up living in this shed in someone's backyard. And, you know, she really doesn't want to step on their toes because she knows, you know, if she turns on the lights, it's jacks up their bill. It's a shed. And it's not, you know, the ones you see at Menards with 2 floors and you could turn it into a house type of shed. No, it's a shed. And she still works and she still can't get ahead. She can't afford anything. And she still works. God bless her heart, you know. You do what you got to do. But it's not enough. Like, she's lucky if she eats. And I know that. She knows I know that. And Nick promised that he would do a GoFundMe for her. And I said that if he did it, I would promote it on my channel. And I waited. And I waited. And I waited and I talked to her about it. And she's been looking forward to it for a couple of months. But it never came. Never came. And I told Nick that if he started it, I would run it on my channel and I would try and match it, or, you know, I would at least throw in $100 at the end of it when it was done. But I know her personally, so for me, instead of losing the 10% or whatever it is to GoFundMe, I would just send her the money at the end. But Nick never did it. And I talked to her last night, and winter's coming, and she's frantic. I mean, she's trying to find a way out. She doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know who to turn to. She was looking forward to that from Nick, and he never did it. And that hurts. Like, I waited and waited. And last night I talked to her and I asked her, I'm like, did he ever set up the GoFundMe? And she's like, no, and he hasn't talked to me. He hasn't told me anything about it. And so I tried to go on his channel last night to ask him about it. And instead of letting me up to talk about it, because and I told him it's not Bible related, it's just something bogus he did. And I feel he should explain why he didn't. But it doesn't matter. I think we all pretty much know he's a scumbag and can't keep his word anyway. But at the end of the day, it hurt me. So I went ahead and I set it up. We've already got $50 in there. I'm not, I get nothing from this. I'm just, if you can find it in your heart to help her out, imagine trading shoes with her. Just imagine you living in a shed, not being able to see your grandkids. Imagine you living in a shed, not being able to turn on a light. Imagine you living in a shed knowing winter's around the corner. Imagine you in those shoes. And she's not like an illegal immigrant or anything. She's not. She's just an old lady who's on hard times. Her name is Mildred Van Hoos. She goes by Mitty Van Hoos. You'll see her in here. She knows. I've already told everybody. She knows that I was going to do this. I told her I would. And so I expect that she'll be seeing this as well. The link to this, there she is. So she's got this beat to hell RV picked out. The guy's going to sell it to her for like $1,200. She went and saw it this morning just to get this picture before she went to work. Yeah, brunette, it's Mitty. Yep. I made her wake up at 4 a.m. to go take this picture so I can do this for her. This is the RV. I mean, it's better than a shed. No matter how you look at it, this thing is better than the shed. She's excited. She's hoping, she needs help. I don't know what to, I just know if I was in those shoes, I would hope that somebody would do this for me. I had hoped that Nick was going to keep his word and do this. But he didn't, so I will. I've got no problem with this. And by the time we're all done, from me and Tick at least, she'll have 150. But I'm asking you guys to help her. She's getting all of it. I get nothing from this. I don't want anything from this. I just want to see. And you see all the time online, people, they pretend like they care about others, right? They say they do. And everybody that watches this, I'm sure all of you have that soft spot in your heart. Do so. The link is in the description, at the bottom of the description, to the GoFundMe. Help this lady out. Share it. Share her story if you could. Y'all know me well enough to know I don't do this. I don't do this for people. I don't like. You got to be legit for me to do this. So, me, my wife, my whole family's kind of in on this. I'm excited to see what could happen, and I hope something does. We'll leave it up for a couple months. If you could please, and then on Tuesday, I'm gonna come back on and do a different show. I might try and have her on here. I don't know how that would work or not, but on Tuesday, I'm gonna come back and explain maybe a little more in depth. And then I'm gonna do a community post and post it on Facebook too. But she really needs the help. If you could share the link, send her 10, 15, $20, whatever. Just think if it was you. I don't, my family, we don't do holidays. We don't do this heathen day, turkey day, Christmas, Halloween, heathen garbage. But, when you're sitting in your house with your roof over your head and your full plate of food, I want you to think about her. Not that, not that any one person's more important than another or less fortunate than another, but I mean, this is your grandma. That's what that is. I've known Mitty for 3 years. She's been nothing but a sweetheart. to me. She's never done me like everybody else does. She's always been nothing but nice to me. So it's the least I can do. Please and thank you for her. And then, the link's in the description. Moving past that, sort of moving past that. And to anyone watching this now, if you know Nick, go call him on his bullshit and make him promote that. Because if he'd have done it, I would have, regardless. My personal shit with Nick has nothing to do with taking care of somebody that's in need. He said he was going to do it. He refused. I'm doing it, so he should pick up his end of the bargain and promote it on his channel too. She really needs the help. The goal I set was only 500. If you could surpass that for her, we'd all be very grateful. I would love to see her out of the shed. Every time it's heartbreaking. It's a heart-wrenching story. And you got to, take some time to get to know her, but I don't think any grandma deserves that, especially at her age. That's shit. So, let me catch my breath here. Whew. Known her for 3 years. She's a good woman. One of the few people in this world that you can look at and be like, damn, it's through no fault of her own. I mean, she's just a big heart. It makes me mad. Nick didn't do that earlier. Just makes me mad. But it is what it is. I didn't expect anything less, and I waited. Gave it a month and a half, 2 months, and was like, started worrying about her and asking her what's going on, and now I know. So from my heart to you guys hopefully to her, help her out. She needs it. As far as tonight goes, we're doing Zechariah. I'm excited. We're gonna get done. I go with Zechariah, Zephaniah, Hosea. There's a couple more other ones. I don't know what happened to them. They were all on my channel, and now there's some that aren't. So I'm gonna go through and redo them, and then move forward. So Zechariah is a good book. It's 14 chapters. Hope you guys brought your Bibles. Should get through, I would think the whole thing, or half maybe. Depends on how deep it goes and how much we can find to talk about. But I wanted to clear that first. Whew. We're building some really cool stuff. I got one of these crosses already cut, done. I just after I get off of here, I got to go out and glue it up, and then we're doing the table. Oh man, Brunette, you saw I posted the wood in the seal. This is so far it's gorgeous. I don't even know. It's gonna be a beautiful table. I don't know what to do, but we're gonna figure it out. So I have a lot on my mind. But Zechariah. Nick, he fucking blocked me. It just baffles me. Whatever. Zechariah chapter 1, verse 1. In the 8th month, in the 2nd year of Darius, came the word of the Lord unto Zechariah, the son of Berechiah, the son of Iddo, the prophet, saying, the Lord hath been sore displeased with your fathers. All right, I want to make sure. I got to get my head in the game here. Zechariah chapter 1, verse 1. In the 8th month, in the 2nd year of Darius, came the word of the Lord unto Zechariah, the son of Berechiah, the son of Iddo, the prophet, saying, the Lord hath been sore displeased with your fathers. So he's talking to Zechariah. So he's talking about the Hebrews. He's talking about the Israelites. The Lord hath been sore displeased with your fathers. Therefore, say thou unto them, thus saith the Lord of hosts, turn ye unto me, saith the Lord of hosts, and I will turn unto you, saith the Lord of hosts. Be ye not as your fathers, unto whom the former prophets have cried, saying, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, turn ye now from your evil ways and from your evil doings. But they did not hear, nor hearken unto me, saith the Lord. It's a lot to unpack in that verse. Be ye not as your fathers. That's key number one to the Bible. Right? I mean, if you really are serious about figuring it out, you got to understand that every time God talked to the people, this was like the first words out of his mouth. Be ye not as your fathers. Don't be like your parents. Don't be like the people before you. Don't be like the sinners in the heathen buildings. Don't do it. It's right there. Unto whom the former prophets have cried, saying, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, turn ye now from your evil ways. What is an evil way? Somebody who sins. Sin, repent, repeat. Sin, repent, repeat. Sin, repent, repeat. Sin, repent. That's the evil way. Turn ye now from your evil ways and from your evil doings. But they did not hear, nor hearken unto me, saith the Lord. Your fathers, where are they? And the prophets, do they live forever? Where are your fathers? They went to the grave. But my words and my statutes, which I have commanded my servants the prophets, did they not take hold of your fathers? And they returned and said, like as the Lord of hosts thought to do unto us according to our ways and according to our doings, so hath he dealt with us. So all the times that God told them, if you don't turn from your evil ways, I'm going to destroy you. I'm going to do this. Boom. You're going to die. You're going to go to hell. You cannot serve two masters. Real believers can't sin. It's not possible for a real believer to sin, and it's been since back then. His words and his statutes are forever. Forever. 7. Upon the 24th day of the 11th month, which is the month Sibat, in the 2nd year of Darius, came the word of the Lord unto Zechariah, the son of Berechiah, the son of Iddo, the prophet, saying, I saw by night, and behold, a man riding upon a red horse. And he stood among the myrtle trees that were in the bottom, and behind him were their red horses, speckled and white. Then said I, O my Lord, what are these? An angel that talked with me said unto me, I will show thee what these be. And the man that stood among the myrtle trees answered and said, These are they whom the Lord hath sent to walk to and fro the earth. And they answered the angel of the Lord that stood among the myrtle trees, and said, We have walked to and fro through the earth, and behold, all the earth sitteth still, and is at rest. Then the angel of the Lord answered and said, O Lord of hosts, how long wilt thou not have mercy on Jerusalem and on the cities of Judah, against which thou hast had indignation these 70 years? 70 years. Indignation. And then he destroyed them. Same thing. Twice. Happened twice. It's going to happen again. And the Lord answered the angel that talked with me with good words and comfortable words. So the angel that communed with me said unto me, Cry thou, saying, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, I am jealous for Jerusalem and for Zion with a great jealousy. He's telling him. And I'm very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease. For I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, I am returned to Jerusalem with mercies. My house shall be built in it, saith the Lord of hosts. And a line shall be stretched forth upon Jerusalem. Cry yet, saying, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, My cities through prosperity shall yet be spread abroad, and the Lord shall yet comfort Zion, and shall yet choose Jerusalem. And he does. The end. That's what he does. The 144,000, the real Jews, he chooses them. He chooses Jerusalem, Israel. That's where they go. That's their inheritance. That's the real Jews. Even the Muslims are waiting for them. Then lifted I up mine eyes and saw, and behold, 4 horns. And I said unto the angel that talked with me, what be these? And he answered me, these are the horns which have scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem. And the Lord showed me 4 carpenters. Then said I, what come these to do? And he spake, saying, these are the horns which have scattered Judah, so that no man did lift up his head. But these are come to fray them, to cast out the horns of the Gentiles, which lifted up their horn over the land of Judah to scatter it. Zechariah chapter 2. I lifted up my eyes again and looked, and behold, a man with a measuring line in his hand. Then said I, whither goest thou? And he said unto me, to measure Jerusalem, to see what is the breadth thereof, and what is the length thereof. And behold, the angel that talked with me went forth, and another angel went out to meet him, and said unto him, run, speak to this young man, saying, Jerusalem shall be inhabited as towns without walls for the multitude of men and cattle therein. For I, saith the Lord, will be unto her a wall of fire round about, and will be the glory in the midst of her. This is very true. Now, when he tells you, I see a man measuring, that's Revelation. Revelation, I want to say it's 21. 222. Heaven, new earth, no. Oh, wait. The holy Jerusalem, having the glory of God. Had golden, there it is. And he that talked with me had a golden reed to measure the city and the gates thereof and the wall thereof. And the city lieth 4 square in length. There it is. Okay, so this is that measuring line. For I, saith the Lord, will be unto her a wall of fire round about, and will be the glory in the midst of her. And that's what he goes on to say, even in Revelation. No temple therein, right there. And I saw no temple therein, for the Lord God Almighty and the Lamb are the temple of it. And the city had no need for the sun, neither of the moon to shine in it, for the glory of God did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof. Right there. Same here. For I, saith the Lord, will be unto her a wall of fire round about, and will be the glory in the midst of her. Zechariah 2:6. Ho, ho, come forth to flee from the land of the north, saith the Lord. For I have spread you abroad as the 4 winds of heaven, saith the Lord. Deliver thyself, O Zion, that dwellest with the daughter of Babylon. For thus saith the Lord of hosts, after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you. For he that toucheth you toucheth the apple of his eye. For behold, I will shake my hand upon them, and they shall be a spoil to their servants, and you shall know that the Lord of hosts hath sent me. Sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion, for, lo, I come, and I will dwell in the midst of thee, saith the Lord. And many nations shall be joined unto the Lord in that day, and shall be my people, and I will dwell in the midst of thee, and thou shalt know that the Lord of hosts hath sent me unto thee. And the Lord shall inherit Judah, his portion in the Holy Land, and shall choose Jerusalem again. But that's not till after. He gets into it too. Be silent, O all flesh, before the Lord, for he is raised up out of his holy habitation. That's that second coming then. Zechariah 3. And he showed me Joshua, the high priest, standing before the angel of the Lord, and Satan standing at his right hand to resist him. And the Lord said unto Satan, the Lord rebuke thee, O Satan. Even the Lord that hath chosen Jerusalem rebuke thee. Is not this a brand plucked out of the fire? Now Joshua was clothed with filthy garments, and stood before the angel. And he answered and spake unto those that stood before him, saying, Take away the filthy garments from him. And unto him he said, Behold, I have caused thine iniquity to pass from thee, and I will clothe thee with the change of raiment. It's Jesus telling Joshua, your iniquity is gone, doesn't exist. And I said, let them set a fair mitre upon his head. So they set a fair mitre upon his head and clothed him with garments. And the angel of the Lord stood by. And the angel of the Lord protested unto Joshua, saying, thus saith the Lord of hosts, if, this is the key word here, man, if thou wilt walk in my ways, and if thou wilt keep my charge, then thou shalt also judge my house, and shalt also keep my courts, and I will give thee places to walk among these that stand by. If and if. And if you don't do those things, then you're done. Hear now, O Joshua, the high priest, thou and thy fellows that sit before thee, for they are men wondered at. For behold, I will bring forth my servant, the branch. I like that because he's talking straight about Jesus. Directly in the Old Testament. John, where is it? I am no. You are the branches. There it is, John 15:5. I am the branch, you are the vine, or I am the vine, you are the branches. John 15:5. Oh wait, no, next one. I am the vine. Well, here it is. Oh, I love it. I am the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman. The true vine, that's the branch. Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away, and every branch that beareth fruit, he purges it, that it may bring forth more fruit. Now you are clean. Now, right now, you are clean. Done. Through the word which I have spoken unto you. Abide in me, and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, except it abide in the vine. No more can you, except you abide in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. He that abideth in me, and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit. For without me you can do nothing. Why? Because he's the branch. If a man abide not in me, he is cast forth as a branch. If you don't stick with it, you're out. And is withered, and men gather them and cast them into the fire, and they are burned. Seen it 1,000 times. If you abide in me, and my words abide in you, you shall ask what you will, and it shall be done unto you. True story. Herein is my Father glorified, that you bear much fruit. So shall you be my disciples. As the Father hath loved me, so hath I loved you. Continue you in my love. If you keep my commandments, you shall abide in my love. If you don't keep them, you don't abide. If you don't keep them, you're not a believer. If you don't keep them, you're a sinner. If you still sin, you're not saved. Even as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. These things have I spoken unto you, that my joy might remain in you, and that your joy might be full. Here it is. Hear now, Zechariah 3:8. Hear now, O Joshua, high priest, thou and thy fellows that sit before thee, for they are men wondered at. For behold, I will bring forth my servant, the branch. For behold, the stone that I have laid before Joshua, upon one stone shall be 7 eyes. Behold, I will engrave the graving thereof, saith the Lord of hosts. And I will remove the iniquity of the land in one day. It's coming. In that day, saith the Lord of hosts, shall you call every man his neighbor under the vine and under the fig tree. Learn ye now a parable of the fig tree. Oh, it's such a beautiful book, man. And the angel that talked with me came again and waked me, as a man that is wakened out of his sleep, and said unto me, what seest thou? And I said, I have looked, and behold, a candlestick of all gold, with a bowl upon the top of it, and his 7 lamps thereon, and 7 pipes to the 7 lamps which are upon the top thereof, and 2 olive trees by it, one on the right side of the bowl, and the other upon the left side thereof. So I answered and spake to the angel that talked with me, saying, what are these, my Lord? Then the angel that talked with me answered and said unto me, knowest thou not what these be? And I said, no, my Lord. This is great. I'm going to tell you right now. He's talking about James and John. He's talking about the 2 witnesses that come the minute, almost the minute that the 144,000 are taken out of here. The one on the left and the one on the right. Then he answered and spake unto me, saying, This is the word of the Lord unto Zerubbabel, saying, Not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord of hosts. Who art thou, O great mountain? Before Zerubbabel thou shalt become a plain. And he shall bring forth the headstone thereof with shoutings, crying, Grace, grace unto it. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, and I like this because the angel dodges the question that Zechariah is asking him. He said, Who are these two? What are these two olive trees, the one on the one side and the one on the other side? And the angel dodges it and starts talking about Zerubbabel. And then Zechariah comes back to it later. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, The hands of Zerubbabel have laid the foundation of this house. His hands shall also finish it. And thou shalt know that the Lord of hosts hath sent me unto you. For who hath despised the day of small things? For they shall rejoice, and shall see the plummet in the hand of Zerubbabel with those 7. They are the eyes of the Lord, which run to and fro through the whole earth. These 7 are the 7 churches, the 7 churches from Revelation. Those are the 7 candlesticks right here. And he said unto me, What seest thou? And I said, I have looked, and behold, a candlestick of all gold with a bowl upon the top of it, and 7 lamps. 7 lamps on the candlestick. Those 7 lamps are the 7 churches that the 7 letters in Revelation are written to, and he calls them lamps here. They're lamps because it's a man does not light a candle to put it under the bed, but so that he could put it in the window and it could give light to everyone in the house. Long story short, speaking in parables. For who hath despised the day of small things? For they shall rejoice, and shall see the plummet in the hand of Zerubbabel with those 7. They are the eyes of the Lord, which run to and fro through the whole earth. Then answered I and said unto him, What are these 2 olive trees at the right side of the candlestick, and upon the left side thereof? These are the 2 olive trees. So this is Zechariah dragging him back, because the angel went, started talking about Zerubbabel and some other things. And Zechariah is like, yeah, but you still haven't told me about these 2 olive trees. So these are the 2 witnesses. Then answered I and said unto him, What are these 2 olive trees upon the right side of the candlestick and upon the left side thereof? So the one on the right, the one on the left. And you can see pull a verse out here. Ooh, my wife got me an awesome anniversary present. An absolutely amazing anniversary present. I'm very excited. I don't do politics. You guys all know that. I don't do politics. I don't care. What I do is Bibles, though. I do love a good Bible. And I'm not a fan of Trump. I'm not a fan of Trump. I'm not a fan of Biden. I'm not a fan of Biden. Doesn't matter to me. What is cool, though, is the guy who wrote, what is the song? Lee, his name is Lee something. And Trump, they collaborated, and they came up with this. It's called the God Bless America Bible. And it's a King James. It's big King James, large print. And it's in it. It has not just the King James, but it's got the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the Declaration of Independence. The Pledge of Allegiance I know, but he's also got the verse to, it's not a Bible verse, the verse to the song. I just wish I knew the name of the song. Anyway, so it's got all this stuff in it. That's what she got me. She got me that for my anniversary. I can't wait for it to get here. Hopefully it gets here soon. I think for that book, I might actually make the switch. And I just like the idea of having it, because if I'm out preaching and then, people come up and say, oh, you can't do this here, blah, 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 blah. Well, I've got the Constitution right there, and I'm able to actually quote from it. Plus, since it'll be in my Bible, I might actually read it a lot more. Not the Bible, the Constitution. I'm excited about it. Sorry, I'm losing train of thought here. Trying to find where I wrote everything down on the 2 witnesses. I know it's Matthew, though. It's like Matthew 18 or something. Yeah, it's Matthew chapter 20, verse 20. We'll start at 20. Matthew 20, verse 20. So you see here, he's talking about, then answered I and said unto him, what are these two olive trees upon the right side of the candlestick and upon the left side thereof? And then you have Matthew chapter 20, where I'll just explain it to you. Just read it. 20, verse 20. You see here, then came to him the mother of Zebedee's children. Okay. Zebedee's children is James and John, with her sons, worshiping him and desiring a certain thing of him. And he said unto her, what wilt thou? She said unto him, grant that these my two sons may sit, the one on thy right hand, and the other on thy left in thy kingdom. And he said unto her, what wilt thou? He said unto her, what do you want? She saith unto him, grant these two my sons, that these my two sons may sit, the one on thy right hand and the other on the left in thy kingdom. But Jesus answered and said, you don't know what you ask. Are you able to drink of the cup that I shall drink of, and to be baptized with the baptism that I'm baptized with? So the baptism that Jesus was baptized with was death and resurrection 3 days later, which that was Jesus's baptism, was sheer torture, death, and then resurrection. If you go into Revelation chapter 11, that's what happens to the two witnesses. So when James and John, when their mom asked him, can they sit one on your left and one on your right? You'll see here in a second. Revelation chapter 11. Well, go to 20. Revelation 11. And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them, and shall overcome them and kill them. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. So right there, you see, he calls Jerusalem Sodom and Egypt. And they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their bodies to be put in graves. And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry, and shall send gifts to one another, because these two prophets, which are James and John, two prophets, tormented them that dwelt on the earth. And after 3 days and a half, the Spirit of life from God entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. And they heard a great voice come from heaven, saying unto them, come up hither. And they ascended into the heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. So this is the same baptism. That's the same thing that Jesus went through. Preached, upset everybody, got killed, resurrected, off into the clouds, right? So this is the baptism that he's asking James and John, can you handle this? But Jesus answered and said, you know not what you ask. Are you able to drink of the cup that I shall drink of, and to be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with? They say unto him, we are able. And he saith unto them, you shall drink indeed of my cup, and be baptized with the baptism, and be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with. But to sit on my right hand and my left is not mine to give, but it shall be given to them for whom it is prepared of my Father, which was them, because he said, you will be baptized with this baptism. And then these are the two olive trees, one on this side, one on that side. Then answered I and said unto him, what are these two olive trees upon the right side of the candlestick, and upon the left side thereof? And I answered again and said unto him, what be these two olive branches which through the two golden pipes empty the golden oil out of themselves? That's their testimony. That's them preaching. And he answered me and said, knowest thou not what these be? And I said, no, my Lord. Then he said, these are the two anointed ones that stand by the Lord of the whole earth. These are the two anointed ones that stand by the Lord of the whole earth. This right here is where Jesus anointed them. And this was such an anointing that the other 10 got pissed. The other 10 disciples got pissed when he did it. And when the 10 heard it, they were moved with indignation against the two brethren. But Jesus called them unto him and said, You know that the princes of the Gentiles exercise dominion over them, and they that are great exercise authority upon them. But it shall not be so among you. But whosoever shall be great among you, let him be your minister. And whosoever will be chief among you, let him be your servant. Even as the Son of Man came not to be ministered unto, but to minister and to give his life a ransom for many, which is what James and John essentially are going to end up doing. And the other 10 were so jealous when Jesus gave them that anointing that it pissed them off. And it's in the book. It's right there. Boom. And it's the same thing that he says in Zechariah. Then said he, these are the two anointed ones that stand by the Lord of the whole earth. James and John will be the two witnesses. 1,000%. Not Elijah, not Moses, not those guys. But they know, Elijah and Moses already know that that's who it's reserved for, because they showed up to the appearing, which was shortly after where Jesus anointed them. Then, and you see in John, like, I think it was Peter, James, John, and Jesus all went up, and they saw Elijah and Moses, and Peter was like, let me build you can I build you guys 3 tents? And then they weren't even there that long. But that's where Jesus transfigured, and his clothes were white and made from one cloth. Pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool stuff when you really get into it. Zechariah chapter 5. Then I turned and lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roll. And he said unto me, What seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof 10 cubits. Then said he unto me, This is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. For everyone that stealeth shall be cut off, as on this side according to it, and everyone that sweareth shall be cut off, as on that side according to it. And I will bring it forth, saith the Lord of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief, and into the house of him that sweareth falsely by my name, and it shall remain in the midst of his house, and shall consume it with the timber thereof and the stones thereof. That curse is the law. That curse is the law. Galatians says so. Deuteronomy says so. There's so many different things. It was a curse. It's a curse because you can't do it. The curse is, if you break one, you're guilty of all. That's why he's using such minuscule things to describe how screwed somebody is just by swearing falsely, by telling a lie, by being a thief, right? If you're going to go by that law and you break one, you are guilty of all. That's James chapter 2. So this curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth is the law. For everyone that stealeth shall be cut off, as on this side according to it, and everyone that sweareth shall be cut off, as on that side according to it. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what side you're on. If you break one, you're guilty of all. It doesn't matter if you're Republican, Democrat, Christian, Jew, Muslim, Chinese, black, Mexican. Doesn't matter what you are. If you sin, you're of the devil. Doesn't matter which side. It's the curse. And the angel that talked with me went forth, and I hope the poor people that are watching this, I hope you understand it. And if you don't, the comments are open. Feel free to ask. This is it. Then the angel that talked with me went forth and said unto me, Lift up now thine eyes and see what is this that goeth forth. And I said, What is it? And he said, This is an ephah that goeth forth. Hang on, I want to get my head in the game here. Then the angel that talked with me went forth and said unto me, Lift up now thine eyes and see what it is that goeth forth. And I said, What is it? And he said, This is an ephah that goeth forth. He said, Moreover, this is their resemblance through all the earth. And behold, there was lifted up a talent of lead. And this, oh man. So that's how God compares them, the sinners, right? The fathers, like when he said, Be not as your fathers, right? The sinners, they're like lead. Ugh. It's funny because he compares them to lead, but then think about it. What happens when you round lead too much? Lead poisoning. Interesting. Very interesting. God is funny that way. I don't know. I'm just sounded like a VR thing. All right, verse 6. And I said, what is it? And he said, this is an ephah that goeth forth. He said, moreover, this is their resemblance through all the earth. And behold, there was lifted up a talent of lead. And this is a woman that sitteth in the midst of the ephah. This is a woman that sitteth in the midst of the ephah. And he said, this is wickedness. And he cast it into the midst of the ephah. And he cast the weight of the lead upon the mouth thereof. That's the woman, right? That's that adulterous, heathen woman. You know, just saying. Anybody that Bible studies with us at all, anybody that's watched this channel at all, already know what the woman is. And he said, this is wickedness. And he cast it into the midst of the ephah. And he cast the weight of the lead upon the mouth thereof, upon the mouth of the woman. Then lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, there came out two women, and the wind was in their wings. For they had wings like the wings of a stork. And they lifted up the ephah between the earth and the heaven. Then said I to the angel that talked with me, whither do these bear the ephah? And he said unto me, to build it an house in the land of Shinar, and it shall be established and set there upon her own base. Interesting. After looking at that a little more. Zechariah 6. And I turned and lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, there came 4 chariots out from between the 2 mountains. And the mountains were mountains of brass. And the first chariot were red horses, and the second chariot black horses, and the third chariot white horses, and the fourth chariot grizzled bay horses. Sound familiar? 4 horsemen revelation. Then I answered and said unto the angel that talked with me, what are these, my Lord? And the angel answered and said unto me, these are the 4 spirits of the heavens, which go forth from standing before the Lord of all the earth. The black horses, which are therein, go forth into the north country, and the white go forth after them, and the grizzled go forth toward the south country, and the bay went forth and sought to go, that they might walk to and fro through the earth. And he said, get you hence, walk to and fro through the earth. So they walked to and fro through the earth. So if you look at what these horses are represented here, right, what he explains them to be, and then you go to Revelation 6, where these things start coming out, right, and you start paying attention to where they go, what they are, and you can kind of line shit up as to what's happening now. It is what it is. Then cried he upon me and spake unto me, saying, behold, these that go toward the north country have quieted my spirit in the north country. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, take of them of the captivity, take of them of the captivity, even of Heldai, of Tobijah, and of Jediah, which are come from Babylon, and come thou the same day, and go into the house of Josiah, the son of Zephaniah. Then take silver and gold, and make crowns, and set them upon the head of Joshua, the son of Josedech, the high priest. And speak unto him, saying, thus speaketh the Lord of hosts, saying, behold, the man whose name is the branch, that's his name, and he shall grow up out of his place, and he shall build the temple of the Lord. Even he shall build the temple of the Lord, and he shall bear the glory, and shall sit and rule upon his throne, and he shall be a priest upon his throne, and the counsel of peace shall be between them both. The Lord built his own temple here, which that 1,000-year reign, that's exactly what's going to happen. It's all going to be done in like one day. Everything will just go back to the way it should be. And the crowns shall be to Helem, and to Tobijah, and to Jediah, and to Hen, the son of Zephaniah, for a memorial in the temple of the Lord. And they that are far off shall come and build in the temple of the Lord, and you shall know that the Lord of hosts hath sent me unto you. And this shall come to pass, if you will diligently obey the voice of the Lord your God. This shall come to pass, if you will diligently obey the voice of the Lord your God. I mean, stick to the book. Gotta line up with the book. Zechariah 7. And it came to pass in the 4th year of King Darius that the word of the Lord came unto Zechariah in the 4th day of the 9th month, even in Chislu, when they had sent unto the house of God Sherezer and Ragamelech and their men to pray before the Lord. Regamelech, whatever. And their men to pray before the Lord, and to speak unto the priests which were in the house of the Lord of hosts, and to the prophet, saying, should I weep in the 5th month, separating myself as I have done these so many years? Wait, who's this? Came to pass in the 4th year, came unto Zechariah in the 4th day of the 9th month, even in Chislu, when they had sent unto the house of God Sherezer and Regamelech, and their men to pray before the Lord, and to speak unto the priests which are in the house of the Lord of hosts, and to the prophets, saying, should I weep in the 5th month, separating myself as I have done these so many years? Then came the word of the Lord of hosts unto me, saying, speak unto all the people of the land and to the priests, saying, when you fasted and mourned in the 5th and 7th month, even those 70 years, did you at all fast unto me, even to me? Now, I like this because I know what's about to go down here. This is God. Like, these are the guys. They're there. They're like, oh, should we keep fasting? And basically, God's like, when did you ever actually fast to me anyway? And when did you eat? And when you did eat, and when you did drink, did not you eat for yourselves and drink for yourselves? Should you not hear the words which the Lord hath cried by the former prophets, when Jerusalem was inhabited in prosperity, and the cities thereof round about her, when men inhabited the south and the plain? That's God telling them, like, you say you fast, you say you're fasting, you're doing all this for God, but you're not really doing it for him. You're really just doing it for yourself. All these sinners, all the time, all the stuff they do, they're just doing it for themselves. They're not doing it for him. And then they go and they serve sin again, over and over and over and over. And God's not stupid. He sees it. And the word of the Lord came unto Zechariah, saying, thus speaketh the Lord of hosts, saying, execute true judgment, and show mercy and compassions every man to his brother, and oppress not the widow, nor the fatherless, the stranger, nor the poor, and let none of you imagine evil against his brother in your heart. But they refused to hearken. They refused to listen, and pulled away their shoulder, and stopped their ears, that they should not hear. Yea, they made their hearts as an adamant stone, lest they should hear the law, and the words which the Lord of hosts hath sent in his spirit by the former prophets. Therefore came a great wrath from the Lord of hosts. Therefore it has come to pass, that as he cried, and they would not hear, so they cried, and I would not hear, saith the Lord of hosts. That's it. But I scattered them with a whirlwind among all the nations whom they knew not. Thus the land was desolate after them, that no man passed through nor returned, for they laid the pleasant land desolate. That hasn't happened yet. It's coming, though. Again, the word of the Lord of hosts came to me, saying, thus saith the Lord of hosts, I was jealous for Zion with a great jealousy, and I was jealous for her with great fury. Thus saith the Lord, I am returned unto Zion, and will dwell in the midst of Jerusalem, and Jerusalem shall be called the city of truth, and the mountain of the Lord of the host, the holy mountain. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, there shall yet old men and old women dwell in the streets of Jerusalem, and every man with his staff in his hand for very age. He's talking about down the road. This is not now. This is not now, because they can't dwell safely there. Nobody there is safe. And the streets of the city shall be full of boys and girls playing in the streets thereof. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, if it be marvelous in the eyes of the remnant of this people in these days, should it also be marvelous in mine eyes, saith the Lord of hosts? Thus saith the Lord of hosts, behold, I will save my people from the east country and from the west country, and I will bring them, and they shall dwell in the midst of Jerusalem, and they shall be my people, and I will be their God in truth and in righteousness. He's talking about the 144,000. He is not talking about the imposters that are there now. Period. It's not about them. They're there to get melted, and that's Ezekiel chapter 22. He says, I will bring you there, talking about all the sinners that claim to be Jews. I will bring you into the midst of the city to melt you. And that's what's coming. This is after that. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, let your hands be strong, You that hear in these days these words by the mouth of the prophets, which were in the day that the foundation of the house of the Lord of hosts was laid, that the temple might be built. For before these days there was no hire for man, nor any hire for beast, neither was there any peace to him that went out or came in because of the affliction. The same thing. This is what's happening now. The affliction. They can't get anything done. They're afflicted. They're birth pains right now. For I set all men, every one against his brother. But now I will not be unto the residue of this people as in the former days, saith the Lord of hosts. For the seed shall be prosperous, the vine shall give her fruit, and the ground shall give her increase, and the heavens shall give their dew, and I will cause the remnant of this people to possess all these things. The remnant is the 144,000, the real Jews. And it shall come to pass that as you were a curse among the heathen, O house of Judah and house of Israel, so will I save you, and you shall be a blessing. Fear not, but let your hands be strong. For thus saith the Lord of hosts, as I thought to punish you when your fathers provoked me to wrath, saith the Lord of hosts, and I repented not. So again have I thought in these days to do well unto Jerusalem and to the house of Judah. Fear ye not. These are the things that you shall do. Speak you every man the truth to his neighbor. Execute the judgment of truth and peace in your gates. The judgment of truth and peace is every word of the Bible. If you sin, you're of the devil. That's the judgment of truth. Peace is the reconciliation offered by Christ. That means there is no sin. You're perfect. Now you just got to believe. That's the judgment of truth and the peace. So easy. And let none of you imagine evil in your hearts against his neighbor, and love no false oath. For all these are things that I hate, saith the Lord. Love no false oath. Hence, me doing the GoFundMe for Mitty, because a false oath was made by someone else to her and to me, and it's just shows true colors, man. And the word of the Lord of hosts came unto me, saying, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the fast of the 4th month, and the fast of the 5th, and the fast of the 7th, and the fast of the 10th, shall be to the house of Judah joy and gladness and cheerful feast. Therefore love truth and peace, that is to come. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, it shall yet come to pass that there shall come people and the inhabitants of many cities, and the inhabitants of one city shall go to another, saying, Let us go speedily to pray before the Lord, and to seek the Lord of hosts. I will go also. Yea, many people and strong nations shall come to seek the Lord of hosts in Jerusalem, and to pray before the Lord. This is that 1,000-year reign, because he's going to reign in Jerusalem with the 144,000 for 1,000 years. And that's before the new heaven and new earth and Jerusalem come down. That's before all that. That's what he's talking about. It's going to be so cool. Like, oh man, just imagine. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, in those days it shall come to pass that 10 men shall take hold out of all the languages of the nations, even shall take hold of the skirt of him that is a Jew, saying, We will go with you, for we have heard that God is with you. That's always said, that's when our channel will get popular. Zechariah 9. The burden of the word of the Lord in the land of Hadrach and Damascus shall be the rest thereof, when the eyes of man, as of all the tribes of Israel, shall be toward the Lord. And Hamath also shall border thereby, Tyrus and Zidon, though it be very wise. And Tyrus did build herself a stronghold, and heaped up silver as the dust, and fine gold as the mire of the streets. Behold, the Lord will cast her out, and he will smite her power in the sea, and she shall be devoured with fire. That's the judgment of Tyre. I forget where that is. It's either Ezekiel or Isaiah. It's in one of them. Might even be Jeremiah. Ashkelon, the burden of Tyre. Let me see. Isaiah. I was right. It's Isaiah. Talks about all this. It's all over the Bible. Behold, the Lord will cast her out, and he will smite her power in the sea, and she shall be devoured with fire. Ashkelon shall see it and fear. Gaza also shall see it and be very sorrowful. And Ekron, for her expectation, shall be ashamed. And the king shall perish from Gaza, and Ashkelon shall not be inhabited. and a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod, and I will cut off the pride of the Philistines. And I will take away his blood out of his mouth, and his abominations from between his teeth. But he that remaineth, even he, shall be for our God, and he shall be as a governor in Judah, and Ekron as a Jebusite. And I will encamp about mine house because of the army, because of him that passeth by, and because of him that returneth, and no oppressor shall pass through them any more. For now have I seen with my eyes. For now have I seen with mine eyes. And that's Zechariah saying he sees the peace that is going to come to the land of Israel on the people that it's meant to be for. They don't have it now because it's not for them. Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, thy king cometh unto thee. He is just and having salvation, lowly and riding upon an ass and upon a colt, the foal of an ass. Now that, if you don't know what that was Zechariah's prophesying of Palm Sunday, buddy, where Jesus rode in on a donkey. And when he rode in on that donkey, if you look on the back of every single donkey, there is a cross. And I will cut off the chariot from Ephraim, and the horse from Jerusalem, and the battle bow shall be cut off, and he shall speak peace unto the heathen, and his dominion shall be from sea even to sea, and from river even to the ends of the earth. It's talking about Jesus. And I like it because he said he's going to cut off the chariot from Ephraim. And the horse from Jerusalem. That's their power. A chariot, a horse, it's their power. He's cutting it off. They have nothing. They serve sin over and over and over. He cut them off. And he speaks peace to the heathen. As for thee also, by the blood of thy covenant, I have sent forth thy prisoners out of the pit wherein is no water. Turn you to the stronghold, you prisoners of hope. Even today do I declare that I will render double unto thee. Ooh. Turn ye to the stronghold, you prisoners of hope. I will render double unto thee. We all know that verse, right? Revelation chapter 18, verse 4, right? Reward 18, verse 6. Reward her, even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works. In the cup which she hath filled to herself, double. Yeah. When I have bent Judah for me, filled the bow with Ephraim, and raised up thy sons, O Zion, against thy sons, O Greece, and made thee as the sword of a mighty man. Excuse me. And the Lord shall be seen over them, and his arrow shall go forth as the lightning, and the Lord God shall blow the trumpet, and shall go with whirlwinds of the south. The Lord of hosts shall defend them, and they shall devour and subdue with sling stones, and they shall drink and make a noise as through wine, and they shall be filled like bowls as the corners of the altar. It's pretty cool. He's talking about the 144,000, man. And the Lord their God shall save them in that day as the flock of his people. For they shall be as the stones of a crown, lifted up as an ensign upon his head. For how great is his goodness, and how great is his beauty. Corn shall make the young men cheerful, and new wine the maids. Make liquor out of corn. Zechariah 10. Ask ye of the Lord rain in the time of the latter rain. Oh, man. The latter and the former rain. Oh, it's so... I don't even... If you want to know about these things, you just got to ask. The time of the latter rain. There's I think it's James 1. Let me see. First fruits. I want to see. There's a few verses where it talks about this. Jeremiah, Deuteronomy, Zechariah 2:23. Yes. Yeah. Joel 2:23. No. Let me see. This may very well be one of them. Be glad, then, you children of Zion, and rejoice in the Lord your God, for he hath given you the former rain moderately, and will cause to come down for you the former rain, and the latter rain in the first month. Oh, I have a question. Hang on. I gotta look it up. Not here. Okay. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Didn't find out. Ooh, gotta find out. That's for sure. All right, but that's not it. Early and latter rain. James 5:7. That's what I was thinking of. Not James 1. James 5. Verse 7, right here. Be patient, therefore, brethren, unto the coming of the Lord. Behold, the husbandman waiteth for the precious fruit of the earth, and hath long patience for it, until he receive the early and latter rain. It's the believers from before and the believers after to make 144,000. It's good. It's good stuff. Ask ye of the Lord rain in the time of the latter rain. So the Lord shall make bright clouds and give them showers of rain to every one grass in the field. For the idols have spoken vanity, and the diviners have seen a lie, and have told false dreams. They comfort in vain. Therefore they went their way as a flock. They were troubled because there was no shepherd. Mine anger was kindled against the shepherds, and I punished the goats. For the Lord of hosts hath visited his flock from the house of Judah, and hath made them as his goodly horse in the battle. There's so much in here. Verse 2, for the idols have spoken vanity. What do these people idolize? They idolize celebrities. They idolize sinner preachers. They idolize their ideals, their own ideals, their own ideologies. The idols have spoken vanity, and the diviners have seen a lie. We see that, right? Not again, I don't do politics, but look at all the lefty tiers, man. Look at all the YouTubers that are losing so many subs the last couple of days because Trump won and they got caught lying. All of them are lying. All the polls lied. Everybody lied. It's telling you. And the diviners have seen a lie and have told false dreams. All you got to do is go on YouTube and look at everybody that says they had a dream about the rapture. It's all fake. They comfort in vain. They comfort each other in vain. It's all pointless. All the sinners comforting the other sinners. It's pointless. They're going to hell. That's where they're going. Therefore, they went their way as a flock. They were troubled because there was no shepherd. Mine anger was kindled against the shepherds, and I punished the goats. For the Lord of hosts hath visited his flock from the house of Judah, and hath made them as his goodly horse in the battle. I can get through this. I know I can. Out of him came forth the corner, out of him the nail, out of him the battle bow, out of him every oppressor together. And they shall be as mighty men, which tread down their enemies in the mire of the streets of the battle, and they shall fight, because the Lord is with them, and the riders on horses shall be confounded. This is the 144. This is that 144,000. That's Armageddon, dude. Like, that's when the whole world's going to come against them. And I will strengthen the house of Judah, and I will save the house of Joseph, and I will bring them again to a place. I'll bring them again to place them, for I have mercy upon them, and they shall be as though I had not cast them off, for I am the Lord their God, and will hear them. And they of Ephraim shall be like a mighty man, and their heart shall rejoice as through wine. Yea, their children shall see it and be glad. Their heart shall rejoice in the Lord. I will hiss for them and gather them, for I have redeemed them, and they shall increase as they have increased. And I will sow them among the people, and they shall remember me in far countries, and they shall live with their children and turn again. And I will bring them again also out of the land of Egypt and gather them out of Assyria, and I will bring them into the land of Gilead and Lebanon, and place shall not be found for them. And he shall pass through the sea with affliction, and shall smite the waves in the sea, and all the deeps of the river shall dry up, and the pride of Assyria shall be brought down, and the scepter of Egypt shall depart away. And I will strengthen them in the Lord, and they shall walk up and down in his name, saith the Lord. Zechariah 11. Open thy doors, O Lebanon, that the fire may devour thy cedars. Howl, fir tree, for the cedar is fallen, because the mighty are spoiled. Howl, O ye oaks of Bashan, for the forest of the vintage is come down. There is a voice of the howling of the shepherds, for their glory is spoiled. A voice of the roaring of the young lions, for the pride of Jordan is spoiled. Thus saith the Lord my God, feed the flock of the slaughter, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. And they that sell them say, Blessed be the Lord, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. For I will no more pity the inhabitants of the land, saith the Lord. But lo, I will deliver the men, every one into his neighbor's hand, and into the hand of his king, and they shall smite the land, and out of their hand I will not deliver them. And I will feed the flock of slaughter, even you, O poor of the flock. And I took unto me 2 staves, the one called Beauty, and the other I called Bands, and I fed the flock. 3 shepherds also I cut off in 1 month, and my soul loathed them, and their soul also abhorred me. Then said I will not feed you. Then said I will not feed you. That dieth, let it die, and that is to be cut off, let it be cut off, and let the rest eat every one the flesh of another. That's so bogus. So he's not talking about, he talks about Lebanon here. He's talking about Bashan here. He's talking about Jordan here. Feed the flock, the slaughter, whose possessors slay them, and hold themselves not guilty. And they that sell them say, Blessed be the Lord. See, this is, and they that sell them say, Blessed be the Lord. This is talking about Israel, right here. For I will no more pity the inhabitants of the land, that's Israel. Saith the Lord, but lo, I will deliver the men, every one into his neighbor's hand, and into the hand of his king, and they shall smite the land, and out of their hand I will not deliver them. That's what's happening. And I will feed the flock of slaughter, even you, O poor of the flock. And I took unto me 2 staves, the one I called Beauty, and the other I called Bands, and I fed the flock. 3 shepherds also I cut off in 1 month, and my soul loathed them, and their soul also abhorred me. Then said I will not feed you. That dieth, let it die, and that is to be cut off, let it be cut off. See, and this is where, everybody's always like, how can you be, I get asked all the time, like, literally kind of, it is a pretty regular thing, how people ask me, like, how can you be so cold? Like, how can you just, but they don't realize, they don't see the tears behind the scenes. But at the end of the day, it's like, God told Aaron not to cry when he killed his kids. And it's, so when somebody comes to me, they're like, how could you just be so cold to somebody when they reject it? Well, they rejected that which is supposed to die, let it die. I don't, your choice is your choice. God feels the same. Then said I will not feed you. That dieth, let it die. And that is to be cut off, let it be cut off. And let the rest eat every one the flesh of another. And I took my staff, even Beauty, and cut it asunder, that I might break my covenant which I had made with all the people. And it was broken in that day. And so the poor of the flock that waited upon me knew that it was the word of the Lord. And I said unto them, If you think good, give me my price, and if not, forbear. So they weighed for my price 30 pieces of silver. Now, we all know what that's prophecy of. Telling you point blank. And the Lord said unto me, Cast it unto the potter, a goodly price that I was prized at of them. And I took the 30 pieces of silver and cast them to the potter in the house of the Lord. Then I cut asunder my other staff, even Bands, that I might break the brotherhood between Judah and Israel. And this is what I'm saying. Up here, he's talking about Israel. He calls the people that are there now, the sinners that are there now, the ones that say they fast for him, but they don't, the ones that say they believe, but they don't, the ones that oppress and then say, blessed be the name of the Lord. Those, the ones that sin and claim to be God's people. No, he's done with them. It's right there. Then I cut asunder my other staff, even bands, that I might break the brotherhood between Judah and Israel. And the Lord said unto me, take unto thee yet the instruments of a foolish shepherd. For lo, I will raise up a shepherd in the land, which shall not visit those that be cut off, neither shall seek the young one, nor heal that is broken, nor feed that standeth still, but he shall eat the flesh of the fat, and tear their claws in pieces. Woe to the idle shepherd that leaveth the flock. The sword shall be upon his arm, and upon his right eye. His arm shall be clean dried up, and his right eye shall be utterly darkened. I think that's just anybody that ignores the responsibility. Yep. Oof. It's so brutal. Zechariah 12. The burden of the word of the Lord for Israel. Oh, shit. Here we go. The burden of the word of the Lord for Israel, saith the Lord, which stretcheth forth the heavens and layeth the foundations of the earth, and formeth the spirit of man within him. Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling unto all the people round about, when they shall be in the siege both against Judah and against Jerusalem. And in that day will I make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all people. All that burden themselves with it shall be cut in pieces, though all the people of the earth be gathered together against it. In that day, saith the Lord, I will smite every horse with astonishment and his rider with madness. This is Armageddon. That's what it's looking like. And I'll smite every horse with astonishment and his rider with madness. And I'll open my eyes upon the house of Judah, and will smite every horse of the people with blindness. And the governors of Judah shall say in their heart, the inhabitants of Jerusalem shall be my strength in the Lord of hosts their God. And the governors of Judah shall say in their heart, the inhabitants of Jerusalem shall be my strength in the Lord of hosts their God. In that day will I make governors of Judah like a hearth of fire among the wood, like a torch of fire in a sheaf. And they shall devour all the people round about on the right hand. Yeah, this is definitely that last round. And they shall devour all the people round about on the right hand and on the left. And Jerusalem shall be inhabited again in her own place, even in Jerusalem. Yeah, this is after the 1,000-year reign. The Lord also shall save the tents of Judah first, that the glory of the house of David and on the glory of the house of... The Lord also shall save the tents of Judah first, that the glory of the house of David and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Judah. In that day shall the Lord defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and he that is feeble among them at that day shall be as David, and the house of David shall be as God, as the angel of the Lord before them. And it shall come to pass in that day that I will seek to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem. Yes, that is absolutely Revelation. That is Armageddon. That is after the 144,000 take back Israel. That's after the 1,000-year reign. That's when every nation comes against them. And I'll pour upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and of supplications. And they shall look upon me whom they have pierced. And they shall mourn for him as one mourneth for his only son, and shall be in bitterness for him, as one that is in bitterness for his firstborn. And I'll pour upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and supplications, the spirit. And they shall look upon me whom they have pierced, that's Jesus, and they shall mourn for him as one mourneth for his only son, it's Jesus, and shall be in bitterness for him, because they're going to regret it, as one that is in bitterness for his firstborn. In that day shall there be a great mourning in Jerusalem, as a mourning of Hadrammenon, or Hadad-Rimmon, in the valley of Megiddon. Yes, that is. Boom, I knew it. Megiddon. Megiddo. That's the valley of Megiddo. Yes, this is definitely them. And the land shall mourn, every family apart, the family of the house of David apart, and their wives apart, and the family of the house of Nathan apart, and their wives apart, and the family of the house of Levi apart, and their wives apart, family of Shimei apart, and their wives apart, all the families that remain, every family apart, and their wives apart. Zechariah 13. In that day there shall be a fountain open to the house of David and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem for sin and for uncleanness. And it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord of hosts, that I will cut off the names of the idols out of the land, and they shall no more be remembered. And also I will cause the prophets and the unclean spirits to pass out of the land. And it shall come to pass that when any shall yet prophesy, then his father and his mother that begat him shall say unto him, Thou shalt not live, for thou speakest lies in the name of the Lord. And his father and his mother that begat him shall thrust him through when he prophesieth. So there won't be no more lying about God. Oh, I can't wait for that day, man, where it's death penalty for, like, that's, like, it's going to be like that. He says so right there. It's going to be like that. All these idiots now that run around telling you can still sin and be saved, they're lying to you. They're lying to you. You don't want to know what's coming to them at the end. And it's not always going to be just, there's not always going to be the veil between the spiritual and the physical. And once that rips, governments will have no control over anything, and it will be death penalty for lying about God's word. And I honestly can't wait for that day. Because then everybody's going to find out. And it shall come to pass that when any shall yet prophesy, then his father and his mother that begat him shall say unto him, Thou shalt not live, for thou speakest lies in the name of the Lord. And his father and his mother that begat him shall thrust him through when he prophesieth. And it shall come to pass in that day that the prophet shall be ashamed, every one of his vision, when he hath prophesied. Neither shall they wear a rough garment to deceive. But he shall say, I am no prophet, I am a husbandman, for man taught me to keep cattle from my youth. And one shall say unto him, What are these wounds in thine hands? Then he shall answer, Those with which I was wounded in the house of my friends. That's about Jesus too, piercing. Awake, O sword, against my shepherd, and against the man that is my fellow, saith the Lord of hosts. Smite the shepherd, and the sheep shall be scattered, and I will turn my hand upon the little ones. And it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith the Lord, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein. And I will bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. Oh, I know what it is. Trumpet is okay. I know what it is. Don't worry about it. And I'll bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, It is my people, and they shall say, The Lord is my God. I can't wait for that day, man. So far away. Zechariah 14, verse 1. Behold, the day of the Lord cometh, and thy spoils shall be divided in the midst of thee. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and they shall be shaken, and the house rifled, and the women ravished, and half the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. Then shall the Lord go forth and fight against those nations, as when he fought in the day of battle. And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem on the east. And the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof toward the east and toward the west. Then there shall be a very great valley, and half of the mountain shall remove towards the north, and the half of it to the south. And you shall flee to the valley of the mountains, for the valley of the mountains shall reach unto Azal. Yea, you shall flee like as you fled from before the earthquake in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah. And the Lord my God shall come, and all the saints with thee. Look at, and all the saints with thee. That's Revelation 19. Right here. Right here. And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True. And in righteousness he doth judge and make war. Make war. Remember, he's going to come down and fight. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. And he had a name written that no man knew, but he himself. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of God. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. That's the saints. Because up here he says, let us be glad and rejoice and give honor to him, for the marriage of the Lamb, verse 7, is come, and his wife hath made herself ready. That's the believers. That's the 144,000. And to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white. For the fine linen is the righteousness of the saints. That's perfection in Christ alone. It's trusting every word of the book. And it shall come to pass in that day that the light shall not be clear nor dark, but it shall be one day which shall be known to the Lord, not day nor night, but it shall come to pass that at evening time it shall be light. And it shall be in that day that living water shall go out from Jerusalem, half of them towards the former sea, and half of them towards the hinder sea. In summer and in winter shall it be. And that water comes out from underneath his temple that he builds, comes out from underneath that temple and feeds everybody. And the Lord shall be king over all the earth. In that day shall there be one Lord, and his name one. All the land shall be turned as a plain from Geba to Rimmon, south of Jerusalem, and it shall be lifted up and inhabited in her place from Benjamin's gate unto the place of the first gate, unto the corner gate, and from the tower of Hananiel unto the king's winepresses. And men shall dwell in it, and there shall be no more utter destruction, but Jerusalem shall be safely inhabited. That's after he takes 144,000, after they come back and take it back. And this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. And it shall come to pass in that day that a great tumult from the Lord shall be among them. And they shall lay hold, every one on the hand of his neighbor, and his hand shall rise up against the hands of his neighbor. And Judah also shall fight at Jerusalem, and the wealth of all the heathen round about shall be gathered together, of gold and silver and apparel in great abundance. And so shall be the plague of the horse, of the mule, and of the camel, and of the ass, and of all the beasts that shall be in these tents, as this plague. Zombies. And it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. And it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families in the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain. And if the family of Egypt go not up and come not, that have no rain, there shall be the plague, wherewith the Lord will smite the heathen that came not to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. This shall be the punishment of Egypt, and the punishment of all nations that come not to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. In that day shall there be upon the bells of horses holiness unto the Lord, and the pots in the Lord's house shall be like the bowls before the altar. Yea, every pot in Jerusalem and in Judah shall be holiness unto the Lord of hosts. And all they that sacrifice shall come and take of them, and seethe therein, and in that day there shall be no more Canaanite in the house of the Lord of hosts. No more Canaanite, right? And if you think back, it just doesn't matter. There'll be no more sinners in Jerusalem in that day. Period. That's going to be a good day. And that was Zechariah. Wow, we got through it in an hour and a half. That's really, not bad. I didn't do as much as I could with it, and I didn't give away everything, but I think it's a really good book. Really good book. Malachi is really good too. But, it just is what it is. Was it second or first or second verse in Zechariah? Right here. The Lord hath been sore displeased with your fathers. Therefore say thou unto them, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, Turn ye unto me, saith the Lord of hosts, and I will turn unto you, saith the Lord of hosts. Be ye not as your fathers, unto whom the former prophets have cried, saying, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, Turn you now from your evil ways and from your evil doings. But they did not hear nor hearken unto me, saith the Lord. And that's all I do, man. I just sit up here and tell everybody to turn from your evil ways and hearken unto him. If you trust him, if you trust the book, Jesus made you perfect. If you refuse to accept it, well, we just read your outcome for you. So, it just is what it is. And it's coming. There's no denying it. Brunette, keep an eye on Kushner. That was my other. I remember back when we all started. I was like, man, keep your eye on Kushner. That's something slimy there, man. This whole thing is slimy. It's gross. But anyway, to anybody and everybody watching, look, I know everybody's got at least $5 they can give that MIDI lady, and she needs it more than anybody. She needs it more than anybody that I know. I can't think of anybody right now that probably, at least that I physically know, that could probably use it more than her. And she trusts the book. She can't sin. She just needs help. So if you could, please do. The link is in the description. Otherwise, I'll probably pop in for another one on Tuesday. It'll be open format. I don't know. Go from there. We'll see. Depends on what I'm doing. I got a lot going on in the garage, and I got a lot I need to get done so I can start this Etsy stuff. So I love y'all. I salute the brethren. This is back to the shop for me. Enjoy your night.